my best friend.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
For my friends.
77 WABC.
Birthday, the great Neil Young. 9:25 on your Tuesday morning. So, I guess it was David Friedman who was on this show, I forgot, a week or two ago. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. And I said to David, our friend Trump needs to bring you back as the ambassador to Israel, which I still think he should do. Either me or David. Serious note, it should be David. And I said, the more I think about this is weeks before Trump won again. I said, 3 guys come to mind that have to come back. You, probably in the same role. Holman, he's got to run the border. And Pompeo. And maybe Pompeo in the same role. So, long story short, 2 days ago, I hear that Trump is not bringing Nikki Haley back, and he's not bringing Pompeo back. Now, how long ago was Mike on this show? About a month ago?
If that, yeah.
Yeah, when Justin texted him and pissed off his PR person. Yeah. I've texted Mike 5 times since. I couldn't care less. Not recently, by the way. So I hear 2 days ago, Trump's not bringing him back. I'm like, what? So the listeners are like, well, the guy that has the answer why is Roger Stone. You know I love Roger Stone. He does a great show, 4 to 6 every Sunday. And they informed me what Mike had said, and it made sense why Trump is not bringing him back. But again, Roger Stone is a guy that knows all about it. So here he is, my friend Roger Stone. Rog, good morning, pal. How are you?
Sid, I'm so happy I'm just sobering up now.
Yeah. It's been a week already, believe it or not. A week ago today, our guy won. And we'll get to all of that. But this Pompeo story, you seem to know why before anybody else he wasn't coming back. And when I was made aware, because I didn't know what Mike had actually said, I'm not going to lie, Roger, I was disappointed in Pompeo.
Well, I mean, there's several points. First of all, Mike Pompeo is the person who convinced President Trump not to declassify all the documents that by law were supposed to be released in 2017 regarding the John F. Kennedy assassination. I feel strongly it's time for the American people to know. Secondarily,
stop right there. But before we get to you, secondarily, because anytime somebody brings up Kennedy, I always ask the same lame but obligatory question: do you think Oswald killed him, or is there more to it?
Zero. I wrote a New York Times best-selling book on this. Zero chance. Zero chance. You're a pretty savvy guy. How come Oswald has no nitrate burns on his chest or his arms when they arrest him?
Right.
It's there in the Dallas police report. He supposedly fired a $29 leaky old World War II vintage Italian carbine, but he has no powder burns on it.
You see, and I've heard that before. And if I'm savvy, you're really savvy. But the bigger question is not whether or not you think Oswald killed him, because a lot of folks don't think Oswald killed him. The hard part becomes, well, then who did? Was it the mob? Was it I don't know, somebody else in government, Cuba? If it wasn't Oswald, who do you think did assassinate Kennedy?
I think that there's a conspiracy. I hate that word. Let's call it a plot that involved the Central Intelligence Agency, organized crime, Big Texas Oil. But the guy running the show was one Lyndon Baines Johnson. Johnson was under investigation in 2 huge corruption scandals, the Billy Salesses scandal, the Bobby Baker scandal. He was on his way to the federal penitentiary. I wrote a book on this. It's called The Man Who Killed Kennedy, The Case Against LBJ. If you buy it, get it in paperback, because it's got 3 extra chapters that I wrote after the fact of new stuff I found. But look, Sid, I'm not a lawyer. I'm honest. I'm not a lawyer. But you read this book and I nail it. So it wasn't any one person. There are a lot of people in on this, but John F. Kennedy died as a result of a government-involved conspiracy, and that's what they're hiding.
I would believe that. Yeah, and I would believe that as much as I believe Oswald killed him, to be honest. Now, of course, he was killed in 1963. I was born in 1967. But what I've read and what I've seen, I certainly believe that what you're saying could absolutely be true. So there's one. So Pompeo with the Kennedy stuff. Now, secondarily, what did Pompeo do that ended up losing the trust of Donald Trump?
I think the biggest thing was saying that the so-called documents case was completely legitimate. He goes on Fox with Brian Kilmeade and he says Trump had no right to have these classified documents, and what makes it even worse is that when they were identified and he was asked to return them, he refused. So
now, how long ago did Pompeo say this on Kilmeade's show?
Right after the raid on Mar-a-Lago.
So wait a second. That raid on Mar-a-Lago, Roger, was a long time ago, and yet Pompeo was still talking up Trump. Just a month ago on this show, he talked about the likelihood, not the possibility, the likelihood of returning to Trump's administration. So when did all of this all of a sudden fall apart?
Let's go one step further, and I'll answer the question. Pompeo also, as the head of the CIA, wanted to assassinate Julian Assange inside the embassy in London. There's a great Yahoo.com story about this. I think Assange is a journalist. All he did wrong was embarrass all the corruption in government in both parties, Republicans and Democrats. So that's strike three. And then strike four, all that time Pompeo was coming on your show and talking up Trump, Sid. He was planning his own campaign for president against Trump because he thought Trump would be taken down in the New York lawfare. So I think the president evidently never saw that Kilmeade interview in which he defended Jack Smith. By the way, the Presidential Records Act say quite clearly Donald Trump can do anything with the documents he wants. Judge Amy Berman Jackson, the judge in my case, who was certainly no Trump lover, certainly no Roger Stone lover, she ruled that Bill Clinton could keep his presidential documents anywhere he wanted. He kept them in the sock drawer up in Chappaqua. So Pompeo he's big on the war in Ukraine. It's another reason. I think once the president realized all these things, once they were brought to his attention, he decided that Mike Pompeo was not going to return to the administration.
Wow.
So that's the case.
That's that. So, and of course, we're talking about possibly a return to the same position, Secretary of State. So what's interesting is I had Tulsi Gabbard on the show early this morning. I love her. And Tulsi, back in July, when President Trump was trying to make up his mind about his VP choice, and we know he took Vance, but he was considering Rubio. And Tulsi on Fox TV, like Pompeo, said, no good. This guy Rubio's a neocon. He's a warmonger. She basically described him as John Bolton, and she was really adamant he was the wrong pick. Really adamant. So this morning I said to Tulsi, I said, what do you think about this rumor that Rubio is going to be Secretary of State? She elected to talk more about J.D. Vance than Rubio, but what are your thoughts?
First of all, I love Tulsi Gabbard. I think she's the future of the Republican Party. She's a very, very good friend of mine. There is no one who worked harder other than Trump and Vance themselves on the election of Donald Trump. I was hopeful that she would be among those selected for Secretary of State.
I think she probably was too. I did mention to her, now that that's gone, what about Secretary of Defense?
I would hope that they consider her for that job. Also, the Director of National Intelligence, I think she'd be excellent there as well. She could also head the CIA, to be quite honest with you, given her committees. She was on Armed Services. She was on the Intelligence Committee. She's the most dynamic political communicator I have seen since Ronald Reagan. She is a superstar. And I've been out on the road with her. Yeah. I've seen the way people react to her. And, of course, as you know, Sid, she's now a Republican. So yep. She's had an odyssey. She realized the party she joined 20 years ago is the party of war and the party that will not back Israel up. So she's very strong on Israel. So I think that I'm very hopeful that she ends up in a key position in the administration.
Me too. I love her. But you okay with Rubio, a Secretary of State?
Well, look, it's just very hard for me, Sid, because when my wife got very aggressive stage 4 cancer, Marco Rubio's my senator. He helped her get into an experimental program at NIH that I believe saved her life. So I can't say anything bad about a guy who saved my wife's life.
Of course not. Of course not.
And our politics are a little different, but I think Marco Rubio's going to find that this is not the Rubio administration. This is the Trump administration, and I think he will follow President Trump's anti-war policies.
Right. I think he will, too.
And Marco is strong on Israel.
Yes, he is. Yes, he's very strong on Israel. He doesn't want to hear it. The Palestinians, he's like me, no stomach for that. And for folks that don't know it, of course, Rubio is a senator from the great state of Florida, and Roger is a Fort Lauderdale guy. What do you think about this one? This one has a bunch of people scratching their heads. A bunch of people have already contacted me, especially after she shot the dog. They thought she was going to be finished. But Kristi Noem as the DHS secretary?
That one comes out of left field. That's a little surprising to me. I'm very happy, obviously, with the appointment of Tom Homan, who is one of the toughest guys I've ever met, who's going to be the immigration czar. I think that's an excellent appointment. I think Kristi Noem's she's a great-looking lady, but I think she's a little light, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
I don't know that that's the best place for her.
Yeah, it doesn't seem. I mean, I would have taken Elise, who's going to be the ambassador to the UN. I would have put her there. Elise Heldon, who's going to be the head of the EPA. There's so many choices that I would have put in that. That's a very important position. I mean, folks don't realize that's a job Mayorkas has right now.
Well, and look, I'm very happy about Elise Stefanik going to the UN. First of all, because she's a very strong supporter of Israel. I like that. But I also, there's going to be a special election now. In that election, a very good friend of mine, Anthony Constantino, the head of StickerMule.com, dynamic young guy, able to drop $2 million in his own campaign, will never be beholden to the special interests, doesn't need the money, going to completely self-fund. I'm pretty sure he's going to jump in that race. Said you got to have him on. He's a very good guy.
I actually, I have a guy that I have in mind for that, too. He ran a terrific race against Chuck Schumer years ago, and I believe he's interested. His name is Joe Pinion, but I'll certainly put Anthony on as well, and they're both great men, so may the best man win. I know we'll have a lot of very good candidates for that position, yes?
Well, here's what you're going to like. So Anthony has a huge factory in Amsterdam, New York. He puts this huge sign on top of the factory that says "Vote Trump." You can see from the highway. The Democrat mayor of Amsterdam threatens to, if he doesn't take the sign down, he says he's going to throw him in jail. He's going to throw him in jail. What about free speech?
Right,
you know?
right.
Oh, it's a safety hazard. He says people driving by might see the sign.
Yeah,
that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
I agree.
This guy risked going to prison because he said, "I'm not taking my sign down."
Good for him. I do love this guy. But I love Pinion, too, so we'll figure it out. Final 60 seconds. I got to bring you on more often. I say this all the time, Justin. Try getting Stone on like every week. He's great. Final 60 seconds. The mayor, Eric Adams, for my friend Sal Greco listening right now, he has gone to a judge and said, "Hey, can you do me a favor and push back my trial to like April 1st because I got a campaign." Now, people say to me, is this guy delusional? Campaign? Are you nuts? He's down to 28% approval rating. The city is completely falling apart. He may run again, but he's got no chance. Now, I know he's sucking up to your buddy Trump, my buddy Trump, and Trump is actually talking to him. Trump is actually giving him the light of day, which annoys some people. But regardless of the Trump-Eric Adams relationship, is Eric Adams deluding himself into thinking he's got a shot to win again?
I can't see how. I can't see why. Some people minimize these charges against him. Please take time to read them. He took $100,000 in illegal money from Turkey. He gave it to straw donors. They submitted it to the city's 10-to-1 campaign finance matching fund program. So he defrauded he took illegal money. He defrauded the public. And then he allowed the Turks to operate a building in Manhattan for which they had no occupancy permit. Quid quo pro. and that's just scratching the surface. We now know that his police commissioner's brother was running an extortion racket, telling nightclubs and restaurants.
I know, but that was his PC's brother. That's not him, unless you think he had something to do with that too. That's the PC's brother.
Yes, but in order for the cops not to bust you because you paid off the brother, the commissioner would have to know, wouldn't he?
Fair enough. Well, that would be Eddie Caban then, not Mayor Adams. So
Yes.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. Look, I don't.
Who appointed Caban again?
That would be Mayor Eric Adams.
Exactly.
Yeah, but listen, Donald Trump may appoint somebody who's a bit, and I like Caban, Eddie. I think he got caught up because of his brothers, his family are bad people. But if Trump appoints somebody who's a bad guy, I know you and I who love Trump are not going to come back and put it on Donald Trump, are we?
We could do a whole show on this, and I'd be happy to do it.
I do want to do that because, look, I'm not disagreeing. I don't know anything nearly half as much about this as you do, Roger and Sal and Curtis. I really don't. And where there's smoke, there's usually fire. And there's a lot of smoke here, right? Now, you could die of smoke inhalation from all the smoke here. But, there's a lot of folks that say you really can't pin anything on them. But you just made a good argument with the Turkey, all that money coming from Turkey. But there's a lot of folks who don't think he can win again as mayor, but they're not sure he's a criminal. Those are two different things, no?
Well, look, everybody is innocent until proven guilty, and the mayor's entitled to that presumption as well. This is just an indictment. It's not a conviction. And I will say one other thing about Eric Adams. He's one hell of a dresser. He is one hell of a dresser.
When is your new list coming out?
I come out every New Year's Day.
Okay.
New Year's Day.
Yeah.
If I were you, Sid, I'd be watching very carefully. Very carefully.
Well, the reason, you know how you and I became good friends now? We were friends before, obviously, but we hadn't talked in a little bit. Somebody sent me the list last year and said, Stone doesn't have you on the list. So I reached out to you and I said, hey, Roger, no Bo Dietl, no Sid Rosenberg. And then we started the conversation, and you are a great, great guest and a great radio host, and I love having you on this show. Thank you so much.
Well, and I never really paid attention to your, to your penchant for Joseph Abood, but you've got some great, you got great taste. As I said on my weekend show, which is from 3 to 6 on Sundays, the Roger Stone Show, right there at 77 WABC. Somebody brought up your name. I said, I'll tell you one thing I don't want to do with Sid Rosenberg. I don't want to arm wrestle him because he would destroy me.
You're funny. I don't know about that, my man. You held up pretty well against a barrage and an attack on your home in Fort Lauderdale that was eerily similar to what Donald Trump had to endure down in Mar-a-Lago. Hey, Roger, you're great. Let's do it again next week. What do you say, okay?
Sid, you got me. I'm in. I'd love to do it.
All right, man.
Thanks.
You got it.
God bless you and have a great day.
God bless you, too. 3 to 6 Sunday. That's my man, Roger Stone. He's terrific.